announcements and then start the live.
Okay, guys. It looks like we have a live crowd tonight, so
I can't
maybe
find that.
It's like,
a full crowd tomorrow night. We'll see what happens.
I wanna get paid.
Because
Tonight's topic
it's gonna be
is brat behavior and dealing with the unexpected. And as I looked at what is covered tonight, I kind of thought about the fact that we've talked about it several times already. And so I'm not sure how much of this we really need. So instead, I'm going to modify it a little bit tonight, and we're going to practice. The first thing I would like you to do is grab that yellow sheet of paper that you were going to hand out tonight, and go ahead and answer the question. And if you'll need to sit with a group, so if you can't be by yourself.
Jared's favorite.
Answer the yellow sheet of paper.
Yeah, I think it's inclined. Yeah. And as long as you've been doing it, reading and listening. Showing up. You get 2 guys. But you still have to come on Tuesday.
Come on in. Go ahead and fill out that yellow paper. Did y'all survive? Any of the mountains get flooded out?
I was on a hill, so.
Did the hill come down?
No, but I've seen a bunch of mudslides here and
And
there.
all the rivers and creeks are just gushed, that's crazy.
I know North Fork's on a standby for possible, yeah.
Willow Creek again? This is like the 4th time.
That's crazy.
You need to sit at a table with people because we're gonna practice. You have even numbers, that's gonna
But I guess Bass Lake is actually freezing spillway. Been during Bass Lake.
You got Don Pedro's dumping over the spillway, they haven't dumped it in 20 years, they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday night we were going through Snelling and I got off in Merced and it said that the J59 was closed because we were going to Sonora. I had to go all the way to Turlock and go through Oakdale that way.
January 7th, I was standing in the Merced River, and it was going at about 350 cubic feet per second and a little bit muddy, and he said, "Oh, this is high."
We got an email on it.
They had the whole street sandbagged.
Tuolumne spilling over in Modesto. Don Pedro's 2.5 million acre feet of water in that lake. It's a lot of lake, and it was empty before the winter started. It was like 12% or something like that.
I know there's pictures of it where it's going over the spillway and it's just wiped out Bond Road and gone down and around.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
The Sun Mountain Gun Club where I go shooting, they've got, they have just a little simple creek that ran under these 2 little culverts. It's creek, maybe this wide usually. And it washed the whole road out. Took 2 big culverts with them, just smashed them out down the
Amazing how
creek.
powerful water really is.
I'm pretty sure we have.
Sinkhole in the
How
lake,
powerful
got
it
a
is,
fire
we
truck,
gotta
see a
drive
fire
through
truck follow
it.
them.
Rolling in a creek.
That was interesting.
I have one lift truck and take it out in the creek and you'll feel it
My
pushing.
dad
around.
says that in the early 60s, I guess Hensley and Eastman were completed in the early 70s, like 71, 72, to make Eastman Lake and Hensley Lake. He said in the early 60s, Madera would flood with regularity from the Fresno River. And now I understand. these events are not unique or global warming caused, they're just cycling.
Yeah, and it's just been a
Well, it's so high up, that it's also snow, normally, we have no,
And as bad as it is now, 97 was worse. Remember, there was 10 feet of water in the entire Yosemite Valley. Washed out that bridge on 120.
well, even the bridge in the valley,
In the nineties, I pulled all the cars out of that big flood. I spent 2 weeks dragging cars out of there. Made good money too. Every one of them was insured.
I was in Wyoming like so I don't.
But I've like 9 laps, so they think I'm actually taking it.
there's a lot of water.
They say that the average discharge out of the Delta in any given year is 22.5 million feet of water,
Well, they're like 2 or 3 times that right now.
right? All right, in your table groups, share with them your one area where you're still having problems with some of the French-owned stuff. In your table groups.
Okay.
One thing I didn't write.
456 SDC.
That
Okay.
I read yesterday
And I'm
was
six.
talking about how students who don't get attention at home, like that physical attention, they're the ones that want you to be close to them. So when Fred Jones is telling you
Quiet
about
talking.
personal proximity to them, let them know, hey, I'm near you, do your work. They want you to be there, so that's where I don't know.
Did I have a bell?
In the book, you give you tips as to how to handle that. They said be aware. Want to hear that. Because I have a lot of kids that want to go to the
She's all start.
I'm like, no, go get in line.
Come up with an alternative.
Yeah.
You see a video online where the teachers mastered a special education.
Yeah, that was cool.
They really, some of the things you can use.
I like 36.
I don't care.
I really when she goes
More
to
than
bed,
100, like
Tracy's
400.
like, and she's, we're not looking, and ducks down, and Tracy
I'll
runs
come back
and
to
goes
those
back.
5 or 6 minutes. Find it.
I caught her.
She can get up and walk
She's
out.
like, yeah.
Oh, my
No,
little
that one.
Oh, she's adopted, but she was, she's new to the home.
Yeah, she's really kids who care. I've got like 5 or 6 kids who try to get
You have that one.
You know which one.
But when your number is upside down, I'm working on
Because someone put the word he wanted to put up on.
When we're over.
So they called him and 3 other students up at the time, called 4 of them up at the time, put a word up on the board.
Wife would be somebody.
The guy just sits at his desk, just fumes, starts kicking the bottom of his desk. Like,
He doesn't check my eyes, so what's that?
put up another one. You got a whole list of orders. You picked the easiest one you had, you put it up there. One of the harder ones.
I did at the beginning of the year, but you didn't.
And it's like new, but it just started happening right after, so I don't even know.
And then I was like,
This one.
I threatened to do that. I do too.
Alright, for him, but I don't think he does all this. Like,
I have kids that speak Spanish across the room.
That Mr. Newland
And
pulls
I know how to speak Spanish. I know that they're cursing.
Oh,
And
that
I've
ruined
spoken
everything.
and talked to them about it, and they're still doing it. And so I write them up, and I'm keeping track of it, and like one afternoon I call them, they're still cursing
And
and
his mom had a
stuff.
baby.
And then they come in the next day, and they're like, you called my mom and I got in trouble.
Because the baby
Like,
lost
well, that's because you're not following directions. Mr. Hernandez, you didn't about it. What part of it did you not understand? You're racist. How is that? I get this all the time, every day. Okay, I want you to work on this problem, I'll be back to check on it in a minute. You're racist for not helping me.
They don't know that they don't understand that.
They don't understand it, and we've had a conversation about it, but they just hold on to it because it's
they heard it,
bad.
they heard it, they know it's bad, so they just
Yeah.
say everything.
Well, I had a student
and I made him. Stop molesting them.
Cause in Spanish is no me molestes.
Yes, so
So in Flippy just like,
It's a cloud name.
yes.
It's a false cloud name.
But also,
The worst one, he goes to cold when we have.
yeah, it's, yeah.
I understand molestar is bothering in Spanish. You know, and so he just translated it. Like, and so, you know,
Just stole it from
I'm embarrassed. ¿Qué pasó yo?
Yes, and all these people are like,
What a world.
Underneath the deck. Stop
so
doing
he,
that. Oh,
I
yeah.
was like,
It's on.
I had a second grade, but I got a second grade, all my wife got off.
It's raining, so
I had no idea what the word meant. Dad had to read it somewhere.
No, it's way up.
You know, so, you know what that word is? No, I just heard it. Okay, let me tell you as best I can, without getting into the details, what that word means. She just insulted my wife.
oh my goodness.
We had, and then I had giggling. They just constantly, they're laughing, and I'm. Are you? What is it? What's giggling?
There's like this scare, just uncontrollable, you know, not quite falling on the floor laughing. Yeah,
And I'm.
that must be boy.
Yes, it is. It's voice.
You could take her.
And then.
I don't know how it ever happened. How I ever got through 6 months. Because I'm looking at some of my 630s and going, oh man, I know what kind of an asshole I was from my
I didn't do that till I was in college, you know, or I'm like.
Peter Cheney and Peter Rose.
Well, if it's weird, no, I might just do it somewhere.
I email every day. I email somebody good, bad.
Well, another thing that would happen today was they were on fixing to their, working on their driver's license, and some of them got
And they
matchmaking games, and they're getting two boys together in the class, and one of my boys is like super sensitive, and he got really upset at lunch, and so the art teacher came to me. I had no idea this had happened because I was with my ELD group, working with them, and they were doing it when they were supposed to be typing. And so I went to the vice principal about it, and I said, you know, this is a technology violation, and they're bullying
Okay, 3,
on it. What are we gonna
2,
do?
1. Some of the things I heard, I listed on the board. We're gonna go through them real quick. Cleaning kid over here at PE. The outliers, kids that when they're absent, the class runs real smooth.
I got plenty of things.
And well, the whole class can't be that way. Come on now. SPED with behavior issues. It's even written in their IEP and accommodations. Problems that persist after admin, parents, and psych intervene. So let's talk about this. With clingy kids, and that what you had read was some kids want you to be close. They need that or want that physical affection as part of our homework assignment. We don't know until we get to know them, but it's a reinforcement error for that kid to misbehave because when they do, you get their attention. They get your attention, right? So I have in my house, when I was raising my children, I have an Asperger's child and just a normal girl who wants to be very active. And if you've been around someone with Asperger's, you realize that they demand a ton of attention and interaction and structure, and there can be an inequitable distribution of attention given to the problem. And my daughter never said it, but she said it. Either pay attention to me in a good way or pay attention to me in a bad way. In other words, I could spend time with her that was good, or she would cause a commotion and I'd spend time with her that was bad. either way, I was gonna end up spending time with her. And she was saying that loud and clear, but she, of course, didn't understand that that's really what she was trying to articulate. All she knew was she was getting into trouble again. And it took me a long time to kind of figure that out. I wish I was smart enough to kind of go, oh, I know what's going on here. Okay, let's go play Ash and then we'll solve the problem. I didn't. It took a while to catch on. What I think can help this are your routines, okay, and your policies, right? And so we try really hard. It's harder when they're younger to have a no-touch policy, you know. But you see these little kindergartners, and they want to hug on you, and first graders, and it's just part of how they were raised. Even to them, it's totally normal. How do we deal with clingy kids? What are some ideas?
I have a couple that are pretty clingy, and at the beginning of the year, I gave them jobs. So they, if they were just like really wanting to be around me all the time, I would say, "Can you go like sharpen all the pencils?" Or just give them something so that they feel like important, and it also gets them away from me.
Right.
Ready? Get them away. Yeah.
Okay.
Or even just like, can you make sure that your row is staying quiet? I need you to sit and be the model for your row. And so then they would go back and
They're not trying to be disobedient, are they?
they just need attention.
Some, as soon as you put in the independent practice, will get up out of their seat and come approach you. And again, that's part of your policy. We stay in our seats until this happens or that happens, or we have an extra thing going on. I had a junior in high school come to me and just give me her sob story. That broke my heart. And I'm like crying and she's crying, and the story that she told was like, it was horrible. And all I wanted is, my dad cap came out on my head, and I just wanted to wrap this girl up and hold her and make her feel better, and I knew I couldn't. And I knew I couldn't for two reasons. One, what I do for one, I have to do for everyone. And second, I knew this girl well enough to know she would misconstrue what I was trying to do. And she would accept that and think it was good, and I didn't want to go there. And so I said, here, put out your hand, and this is my hug. And I gave her a bump. That's all I could do. All I could do. And I said, look, this is my way of saying I love you, and we're all good here, and I got your back. And I tried to talk to her, but I couldn't. If I crossed that line, she would misunderstand what I was doing, and the problems would escalate from there. What do we do with kindergarten kids that want to hug us all the time?
I turn to the side because I'm getting mauled. My room's right next to two kindergarten classrooms, and one of the boys in my classroom has a foster sister, and the other day I wasn't even looking, and she just right in the crotch, and I'm like, Courtney, you can't do that. And her mom, lucky for me, her mom was standing there when she did it, and I've had to sit down with her and tell her, Courtney, if you need a hug from me, come to my side, okay? Because she's just gonna hug you. There's nothing about she's sped and she's gonna hug you.
Sped's a little bit different. What do the statistics tell us about? And this is ugly. But what do the statistics tell us about molestation? When does it occur? What age?
Young, 4 or 5.
It's not the 12-year-old and 14-year-old. It's the 6-year-old. There was a court case of a friend who works in Madera prison who tells me about some of this stuff about a 1-year-old being molested. It was in the newspaper even, and they killed the baby. Okay, so let me give you some advice, brother. You can't hug them. You can't. I know your heart's pure, right? But if anybody were ever to flip that story, you're done. It doesn't take really a real action, it takes an accusation, and you're done. And if they can prove it, you lose your credential. And I think there's a state law that says you lose your retirement too. Okay? We had an English teacher that worked at South High School, who worked at Fresno High School, it's in the newspaper, who had a long-term relationship with one of our students here. He ended up marrying her, then he went to Fresno and did it again. He's in jail. Done. Lost his credentials, gonna lose his retirement, it's all done. All it takes is an accusation for somebody to see it from 200 yards away and not understand, not be able to hear you, not know the special mom's around the corner, and the person that was witnessing it can't see the mama, doesn't understand that it's a sped, and goes and makes a big deal about it, and it gets into the newspaper. You're done.
Well, that happened when I was talking to mom.
You know what I'm saying though?
Well, I
Okay.
understand where you're coming
But
from.
what if mom's out of view and somebody saw that from 200 yards away?
And that's when I sat down with her and I told her, I said, look, you can't hug me, you can't.
So we have to develop policies and procedures that protect, I know we're completely off of Fred Jones, I'm just telling you, my advice is to tell you, I'll tell you one other piece of advice in a moment. You can't, believe me, I am a touchy-feely kind of guy, okay? So you learn, that's great. Is this inappropriate? It could be, right? But now if I go, oh, right, oh, wait a minute. Thank you. Right? But I do, I do this all the time, but that could even be construed as flirting, right? And it's dangerous. I wasn't flirting. Rihanna, I wasn't flirting.
I have a friend that teaches kindergarten in a different district, and she has a lot of kids, like she's been teaching kindergarten for years. She has a lot that are really clingy, and she taught the transitional class for a while, so she had the 4-year-olds. And she started telling them that each morning they would get a hug from her, but it was an air hug. So they all kind of did this, and that was their hug from their teacher. And then they kind of did this, and okay, here's my hug, now you have it. And that fixed the problem. But that's not exactly going to work for everyone. But it works for her.
High fives, fist bumps,
Yeah.
right? All that works. You just, in this litigious society, have to be really diligent to prevent this from happening. And I gotta tell you, like I said, man, it breaks my heart. I mean, preschool kids and which is really what TK is, man, they're still waiting for their mom and dad to give them, right? They go to sleep and curl up on the couch with them. I still curl up with my kids on the couch, right? You have to be diligent. Second thing is this. In Boy Scouts, they have a rule that's called 2-deep leadership. 2-deep leadership, which means no matter what, there's always 2 adults or 2 kids. Okay? And so if you're talking to a student, make sure the door's open, the curtains are open, another student's in the room, whatever, that there's a witness. Okay? It's called 2D leadership in Boy Scouts. And our thing was always 2 adults. If it's 1 kid, it's 2 adults. So we were even prohibited by our policy from giving kids rides home unless there were 2, like 2 adults and 1 kid. Then we could give them a ride home. We never allowed boys to sleep in adults' tents. We even had separate bathrooms for boys and adults. We just were hyper vigilant, and you can see all the cases across the country of abuse that happens in Boy Scouts and church. I mean, places where you think that they should never ever happen, it happens. And how many times can we see in the news somebody getting in trouble, right? And the craziest people you would never think of are getting into trouble. I'm just trying to help you all understand that the public has got their eyes on you, and they're afraid. And if they're afraid, they're going to see things that may not be true. But an accusation is all it takes to derail you. You know what I mean? All right, how about the outliers? In Fred Jones, it talks about, in fact, these 3 all kind of lie in the same place. And he talked about PAT. We've mentioned this before. I gave you a brief rundown on it, and we're going to go deep into it next time. That's our next sessions. I want to say March 7th. Does that sound right?
No. March 13th.
13th? We're going to talk about this. And in this case, we could talk about doing two things. One, making sure that their behavior, because it's now one or two, and it persists, or maybe even a SPED situation, we can make sure that their behavior doesn't affect PAT. Their bad behavior, let me put it that way. That their bad behavior doesn't affect PAT, but their good behavior does. Okay? So we actually create a special one-off PAT for these students. And it could be, I'm thinking of this kid, where we use a timer. All right, if you can maintain for 15 minutes, and we set the clock, then you're going to get a sticker, and the class is going to get a minute of PAT. Okay? And you can create special programs so that their good behavior gives them more PAT, but their bad behavior, the consequences only fall on them and not the entire class. So what happens when these kids start turning it around and their behavior earns the entire class more PAT? What happens to those kids?
They'll want to continue.
I couldn't hear you.
They'll want to continue with that behavior.
The class is going to get excited about it too, right? Now, let me ask you this question. These kids that we've just described, have they ever been the hero in the classroom?
No.
They're constantly the ones that gets the entire class in trouble, or gets them off task, or whatever happens. These are the kids, and they get a kick out of it. Somehow it reinforces them. But if we switched it so that their good behavior caused bonus PAT to grow, they start becoming a hero. And now guess what? 30 kids are trying to help those two outliers stay in line. Because they know if they make it, the whole class makes it. Make sense? We're going to really cover that in depth next time we meet on March 13th. All right. Let's move on. I'm going to briefly go through tonight's material, but I want to spend the bulk of our time practicing. So we're going to go back to some of that. And I grabbed the wrong clicker. All right, let's try this again. There we go. Rat behavior. We're going to understand it and how teachers actually build this into students. Realizing that backtalk is sudden and threatening in public. The fight-flight reflex and the fact that speech is a trigger mechanism sets you up. All right, so we're going to learn to mean business. We're going to practice that. And learning to keep silent is a management tool. All right, so we talked about this. What is your weakness? How could a student or students get you to cave in? What is your weakness? How does a student get under your skin?
Defiance.
Okay, defiance.
Or asking silly questions.
Asking silly questions for the intent of getting you off task. I had a bad strategy. It worked for me. It really worked for me. But I don't recommend it. And I used sarcasm. So I had a senior in high school, I kid you not. She was trying to do that. She said, "Mr. T, how did all the water get into the ocean?" And without smirking, without smiling, I said, "Somebody left a hose on for 100 years." And she was quiet. We went back to doing her thing. A few minutes later, she said, "Mr. T, how did the sharks get in the ocean?" I said, "They escaped from a pet aquarium." Senior, mind you. 10 minutes later, I heard, "Mr. T!" Like, oh Lord, she's graduating. All right, sarcasm probably not a good one. What else gets you under your skin?
When they repeatedly ask the same question over and over and over. Because no means no, but they'll continue to ask.
I'm learning something though, and you know, sometimes you think you know it all, and I'm learning that I don't. And the older I get, and the wiser I get, the more I realize I don't know. And I'm learning that sometimes somebody can ask a question, and you think that you have answered it as clearly as possible, and then you go, "But I don't understand." And so you try to explain it again, and it's like This is simple in your mind. And they ask again, and for me, I'm thinking this is defiance, or I'm getting frustrated and I get angry. That gets under my skin. But I'm discovering that that student or that person really didn't understand. And that there's something that's not connecting. And it may be the vocabulary I'm using. It could even, I'm learning that it's my tone of voice that causes their brain to be defensive instead of learning the material that I'm trying to explain. And sometimes they can ask that question because they literally don't know and they can't put it together.
Well, in here, it gave the classic example of no doesn't mean no at home.
That's
So
true
they
too.
know that they can, if they just keep asking, that there's no follow through with it. And it,
They can wear you down.
yeah, and it's like, no.
That's correct. In some houses, take out the trash, okay, Dad, means when you get to it. Right?
My dad hit me on the back of the head one time. I said, "In a minute, Dad." And so when he said that, I wanted you to take out the trash in a minute. I said, "Hey, Nathaniel, in a minute, will you take out the trash?"
Right?
So that always gives me a giggle when people say that one.
After my wife and I separated, my daughter had a strategy very similar. And I guess it works with her mom. She would ask me the same question, 6th time, the 7th time, and I finally responded, "Ashley, right now you have happy daddy, and the answer is no. In a moment, the answer will still be no, but you'll have mad dad. Do you want happy dad or mad dad? But, choice is yours. The answer is still no. But do you want happy dad or mad dad?" You have to catch them at their game. Right now, you're not in trouble, but if you keep asking that question, you're going to be in trouble, but the answer is still going to be no. The book says you have to be consistent, and consistent means most of the time,
All the time.
trying to be
All the time.
consistent,
All
you have to be all the time, huh? And if you say something today and then it's different tomorrow, what does it do for students,
They know.
right? Good.
And then they tell their friends.
Yes.
All right, so we talked about trying to prevent it instead of trying to figure it out after it happens. What is a reinforcement error? What is the kid trying to do when they backtalk you in class? Most kids are trying to get out of work. All right, some kids are trying to get attention. Some kids are trying to be the class clown. One of the things I discovered, class clowns generally have another issue that they're trying to hide by being the class clown. Have you noticed that your class clowns usually have a 2 to 3 year deficit in their reading ability? Okay? And so they have, I don't know how they figured out, it's not like somebody goes around and tells them the strategy, but they're using that strategy to get out of doing work in the class. All right, how do we handle it? What if we play their game? They tell a joke and we all laugh. So what happens? They keep telling jokes. That's a reinforcement error. They got back what they wanted. They are now in control of the class. Okay. So we got to figure out a way around that. All right. What the book talked about these two things. We've talked about this in depth: the fight-flight reflex and staying calm. And we're going to practice that in a little bit. The first rule of back talk: it takes one fool to back talk. It takes 2 fools to make a conversation about it. Right? What does he mean by that?
You become a fool when you start having a conversation about it.
Whose back talk gets them sent to the office? Yours or the students?
Ours.
Right? Okay. The second rule of back talk: open your mouth and slit your throat. It's kind of gross, but what is he saying? You're cutting your own throat by opening your mouth and talking, right? So what is the answer?
Don't open your mouth.
All right, and the third rule of back talk: if students want to back talk, at least make them do all the work. Don't do it for them. All right, so as we're sitting here, you're thinking of all of the other things that could occur. Some kid says, "F you, I'm gonna whatever," and they're going off with all kinds of bad words, or they're calling you bad things, or right? And the teacher in us, the parent in us especially, right? wants to say, not in my class, right? And we get angry and in your face and we get defensive and we go back to this, right? Remember that argument you had with that person you really care about? And you wanted to say something really smart and you just couldn't? And then 2 hours later, oh, I should have said. Or you've been in a job interview and you walked out and go, oh, I should have, right? Because what's happening with your brain?
It's overloaded.
Well, the book says it's downshifted from our neocortex to where? The brainstem. What are we doing now? We're reacting. Okay? All right. So if that's the case, what's going to come out of our mouth? Something that we have to apologize for, or a nice, soothing, calm, right at the right moment quip that's going to cut it in the bud?
You're supposed to take a deep breath.
Have you ever had to apologize to your significant other for something you said in the heat of an argument?
Nah,
She's
never
like,
had to do that.
yeah, I was just kidding. I'll be quiet.
I know, just happened.
I'm 52 in March. I'm just now learning to keep my mouth shut. I'm learning the madder I get, the quieter I get. Actually, that can be kind of scary for the other person. But the madder I get, the quieter I get. Okay? I used to think that my argument made more sense if it was louder. My argument is more powerful and more correct if it's louder than your argument. Have you ever yelled at somebody? That was the way I was raised. Okay? In my house, my parents were yellers. Okay? And I learned how to yell, just like my dad. And I could make the veins pop out of my neck, and I could get like the king cobra all puffy, and my face turns red. Well, my current wife and kids, they didn't grow up with yelling. That was just not part of their culture. And when I slightly raise my voice, I call it my coach's voice, right? You have a coach's voice, so everybody can hear you. It's authoritative, but it's not yelling. My youngest one goes crying. I think, yelling? I haven't even begun.
This isn't yelling yet. You want yelling? I can do yelling.
I haven't even begun.
But yet, I got the same problem. And yet, when she calls me on it, I go, oh, yeah, I guess I was. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yelling.
I'm working on what I call my caring fruit.
Yeah, these things actually work at home too, don't they?
Okay, hang on a second. For the most part, I can understand that. But most of the kids are almost everybody in the room knows that it's a standoff. The kids are trying to do something. And so if there's not some way to deal with that, because that's part of what I'm dealing with in my own room, there's other kids that are gonna just take that right up too. And think they can get away with it because nothing happened that they can see to that kid who started it. And I've got like 3 kids who they kind of feed off of that. So, there's gotta be some way, and so far I haven't found it, but there's gotta be some way to deal with that besides just not talking to them. You're not opening your mouth. They'll just stare right at me. They'll look at me for 10 minutes. They'll do that. They'll look right at me for 10 minutes to see who's gonna back down.
And you're gonna have to keep up with the ante.
Well,
You know what I mean?
but that's the problem I run into, because then if I'm looking that way,
Let's get back to
if I do that, then the rest of the kids are.
Right?
Personal space bubble.
Okay, good. Doesn't matter. All those techniques you have to kind of, and then we have to get back to the outliers.
Because that's what I'm dealing with.
If you, especially from over here, because what we end up doing is nagging. If I have to come over there,
Yeah, I don't do that.
Right?
I just walk over and everybody knows it. Everybody knows what's going on. But it's you're trying to see who's gonna win. And so the problem I'm having is if I try all those things and I'm not saying much, they're still looking at me, I'm looking at them. I'm
you're here,
still
you Madera Unified, right?
Huh?
You're here at Madera Unified?
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Time to Teach? We're giving the kids a refocus. Go write this out. I'm gonna encourage you, to looking at what grade level?
6.
Junior high, 6th grade. They're not pre-adolescent, they're pre-youth.
Yeah.
And so, we need to talk about that. That's a piece, a tool that you can use
Okay.
to augment what we're
I
doing.
give you.
And I know a little bit about it, but I know some people at Desmond particularly that know a lot about it.
Okay.
And the idea is that is
I'm gonna take a note for anything.
sorry guys. Two different phone calls in one. The idea is, okay, you're out of line, you need to go refocus. And so you have a table, and they go and they write about the incident and how they're going to correct it. You come back. Then you do it again. Okay, now you have a lunch detention. All right, no, that didn't work. Okay, now I'm writing you, I'm calling your parents. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, now I'm sending you to the office. So use the backup. So you have a system in place that deals with it, that helps the student take responsibility for it.
Well, that's
Well,
what
I can
I've
see the
been
writing
doing
down.
with my kids is you crossed a line or you did something wrong. I had one kid yell bullshit in class twice. And so I said, write down what you did wrong. And he goes, what word do you want me to write? I said, the word that you said. He goes, what word was that again? I said, no, I'm not gonna repeat it. Write it down and then say that you wrote it twice and what you should have done. And then I'm going to attach that to a paper that says, I called your parent at this time. And in having them write it in their own hand and then I have them write their parent's phone number on it, it's like, because I'm gonna show it to them if I need to. And you wrote that down, I
Is it
didn't
working?
make it up, that's your handwriting right there. It's working. Cause it's like a reflection, but then my vice principal said, well, I want it to be more of just a reflection, but what should I have done instead of doing that?
That's the next step.
That's the next step. So it has been working, and the first day I did it, I started throwing them down.
But they
Do
actually
this,
are
do
saying
this.
that there's a place in the room where they get that.
Where they have to
form,
go.
And so they're breaking away from their small group,
Mhm.
they're breaking away from interacting in class, they're being isolated to get a chance to refocus, and that's what it's called. Write their account and what they should have done differently and how they're gonna fix it. What do I need to do to make this better? I need to apologize, I need to whatever. And then when they're finished, then they can come back.
I put the time that they started writing and the time they finished writing on it too.
So it doesn't take an hour.
Mm-hmm.
We use
And
the
that's
fun
really
one.
helped.
Yeah, we have that, kind of that same idea, we have a paragraph that my behavior in class today was, and they have to fill in what they did. Next time I will, and it makes them think about what they did as they're writing down this behavioral reflection. And we buddy room them, so we send them to, like, I'm a 7th grade math teacher, so I send them to another 7th grade math teacher's class, so that they're still hearing the same lesson as they're working on this, but it's a different environment. And then they can come back when they finish, or that teacher may keep them, depending on how poorly they had behaved in my class. I may say, just keep them till the end of the period, because we're all teaching the same thing at the same time. So that way they can redirect themselves, reflect on it, they have to bring the paper back to me when they're done. And then they're getting the lesson, they're incorporated in the other class, but they're also reflecting and thinking about, oh, this is what my class was supposed to be learning right now, but I did this, so nobody learned anything. So then that helps.
And it's a consequence that doesn't send them to the office or suspend them.
Right.
Both of which, honestly, we have some kids that just want out of class.
And it doesn't send them somewhere fun, it sends them, because the first time I sent one of my kids out, they thought, oh, I'm going to the office, I get to go hear everybody's business. Like, I get to go just have fun, I'm not gonna have to do math. And then they realized they were going to another math teacher, and they're like, oh, wait, I have to do the worksheet you guys are doing? That's not fair, my class doesn't do a worksheet. So they're like, oh, maybe I should behave in my class, because my teacher teaches differently.
It also means that we're meeting business, right? And there's you're not a pushover by any means. That's not what we're suggesting with this strategy. But you're meeting business. And there's a healthy I wanna say fear, but I think the book would say respect for the teacher, right? I mean, let's face it, did we grow up with a little bit of fear of our parents?
A lot.
Just a little, that's all it took, right? And we didn't want, you know, when the kids know that you care about them, they don't wanna disappoint you either. But when you mean business, we've talked about this too, when you think back and the data shows across the nation, your favorite teachers were not necessarily the easy teachers or the ones that had parties every Friday. They were the ones that had high expectations for academics and high expectations for behavior. And then they believed in you that you could meet those expectations and you were challenged, and when you met them, you felt good about yourself. You gotta mean business. You can't let them walk over you at all. You'll have to address those 4 kids and make sure they understand this isn't gonna happen, and when it does, the boom's coming down. I'm gonna take care of it. They're also gonna miss out, and they also could spoil the PAT from the entire class. So that's something that you can work on. We'll talk about that next time. Right now we're talking about not engaging when somebody's really trying to get us off track. And the book talked about some different types of back talk, and you read it, talking about switching the agenda, which is what you were talking about. This is common in my own home, a lot of whiny back talk. And what you're referring to is just that kind of nasty, ain't gonna tolerate it kind of back talk. All right, what do? When in doubt, do nothing. Why? Remember I told you, being quiet can actually be more fearful because now you're unpredictable. Isn't unpredictable scary? I think that's what's going on in our nation right now. Where it's unpredictable, and as a result, it's scary. Okay? Palms, elbow, camping out, instant replay. What did the book say was instant replay?
I don't know.
I have to remember myself.
Saying it, I think that was like saying the same thing again, so like, no, instead, you need to do this. Shoot.
Staying on task, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's like repeating the direction you gave, maybe
Yeah.
just in slightly different words.
Never take what a student says personally. Why? You're going to get into your brainstem, the old reptilian part of your brain. But do you think that students mean it personally? I have one case where that's true. Okay, the kids have figured out that they can push this teacher 6 ways to Sunday. Now it is personal and it's ugly. Okay, but for the most part, especially when it's occasionally, it's not personal. Do you know what's going on at home or what happened over the weekend? No, uncle got arrested. Somebody got into a fight. They had to move because they couldn't pay the bill. Right? There's all kinds of things that are going on. Dad walked out, and now mom and dad are split up, and dad's somewhere in a hotel or apartment, or found out that mom was cheating or dad was cheating or whatever. Just like we as humans take the bad things into our classroom, so do students. Okay? And is it possible that your students having a problem with the same gender that you are? You're female, they're struggling with their mom or their big sister at home, and so you represent that. Or they're struggling with the male that's at home, whether it's the boyfriend or the dad or whoever, and you represent that, okay? And they could be lashing out. Do kids, are they sophisticated enough to articulate what they're thinking and feeling? Even though they talk like they're adults, we kind of forget sometimes that they're really kids. I'll tell you a story as coaching freshman baseball, and I had this kid who was tough as nails, and he was kind of rough around the edges, tough kid. Got too close during a drill and got hit in the face with a bat. Teeth, everything, blood. And this freshman kid, I want my mommy, I want my mommy. That's right. These are kids, right? We forget that.
Once in a while I've said, you don't, like kids will say, oh, I hate you. And I go, you don't hate me, you just hate what I'm making you do. you don't know, kind of, oh, yeah, that's true. You know, it kind of makes them think about what is it they really hate. It isn't so much me as a situation that, you know, the choice they made and the consequences coming from it.
Have your own kids though said that to you when you're raising them?
I don't have any kids.
You don't have any kids?
We couldn't have any.
Your
Right.
kids, if you had, you would understand. All tell their mommy, all tell their daddy, I hate you. It happens.
I said it to my parents, so.
Well, you were trying to say something that hurts. What can I grab? Because I'm hurting right now. I want to try to make you hurt. Don't take it personal. Okay. And so it talked about moving in and camping out and not taking it personally and keeping your mouth shut. But long term, do we allow this kind of behavior to go on? No, Jimmy, I need to see you at recess, okay? Let's talk about this. And then we have some time to think it through and have some sort of conversation about it and reconcile it. And maybe there's even a thing that they need to do for us, right? Maybe it's writing a letter or writing an account or making an apology, or maybe they're calling their mom. Mom, you know what, I cussed out my teacher today, and you were talking about calling, what if they call her?
They
While
want
you're
me
sitting
to
there.
call, because they don't want to, the topic came up, well, if they're speaking Spanish, you don't know what they're telling the mom.
I agree with that one,
So,
I agree with that one.
I will.
Okay, let's do this. Let's go back to practicing. We're gonna try the smile. So you need a partner. So grab a partner. We have even number today. Turn your chairs towards your partner so that your knees are pointing at each other.
Come on, Buttercup.
I know I'm gonna laugh.
All right. This is a script, by the way, so I'm not making it up. So it's gonna get goofy. All right. The only way to learn to relax under pressure is to practice relaxing under pressure. In each partner pair, one person plays the role of teacher, while the other person plays the role of student. All right, so the person with the longest hair will be the student. The shortest hair will be the teacher. The object of smile practice is to give you, a teacher, a chance to practice relaxing under pressure. All right. There's going to be 3 levels of pressure for provocation on the part of the student. Are you ready? The first one is this. Without, from a seated position, without talking, you're going to try to make the teacher laugh. Okay, we're going to practice this again.
Make myself laugh more.
You're going to try to make the teacher laugh. Teachers, your job is to relax your body, relax your breathing, and look at your partner with your best Queen Victoria face. When you are thoroughly relaxed, you will look bored to death by the foolishness in front of you. However, relaxing is still a skill with several important components. As you are attempting to relax, do the following. Get a focal point. Do not look at them in the eye. You must look at your partner, but not actually look them in the eye. Eyes are the most expressive part of a person's body, and we're built to respond to each other. However, you must create the illusion of looking your partner in the eye. To create this illusion, get a focal point right between your partner's eyebrows. Use anything that is handy, such as a wisp of hair, the frame of their glasses, or simply the skin that separates the eyebrows. You will appear to be paying attention, but you will have created psychological distance between you and your partner so that you are less likely to react to them. Relaxation at this level is a game of concentration. When you have good concentration, your focal point is about the size of a quarter, and you do not really see the other person. Everything outside of the focal point is slightly blurred. Should you lose concentration, however, the focal point will rapidly expand so that you see the other person complete with gestures and facial expressions. If you crack, it will be when you lose concentration. As an alternative strategy, you can throw the other person out of focus by slightly crossing your eyes. Leave the scene of the crime. Okay? Listen up. If you do not listen up, guys. If you do not occupy your mind with some calming thought when playing the role of teacher, your thoughts will be occupied by the outrageous behavior of your partner, and you will tend to react. When you play the role of teacher, imagine a scene that is intimately calming. Let's talk a moment to find a scene that is calming. You will, in effect, be daydreaming. With practice, this becomes a calming mindset, which translates emotionally into, "This too shall pass." Please do not use this with your spouse. If you laugh, if you begin to crack up, go ahead and laugh. You won't be fooling anybody by trying to hold it together. Instead, after you laugh or smile, close your eyes, breathe in gently, and then open your eyes as you relax. If you lose it again, repeat the procedure until you habituate to whatever your partner is doing. It says here, I don't care if you lose it 20 times as long as you work to regain your composure 20 times. All I care about is that you keep working. The only way to learn to relax under pressure is to practice relaxing under pressure. Again, you need to turn knee to knee. Get your focal point and relax. Remember, this is the easy part, so students, you're not talking. Ready? Set. Go.
I don't know what to do. I really. This is really hard. He's really good at this. He's had practice. You laugh. You made yourself laugh. How Michelle gets you going? Well.
3, 2, 1.
You're probably gonna make me laugh.
Hard. He started going
All right,
for the
I'm
green
hearing
stuff.
some
I was like, really hard.
I have a second grader that used to do that. He'd go. And I'm like, I know what you're doing. No, you don't.
You can't see it. You don't know.
Let's switch positions. So now the teacher's the student is the teacher. Find your focal point. Remember, we're not talking yet. We're not talking yet. We're going to make it harder in a moment. We're not talking yet. You're not talking yet. Teachers, relax. Find your focal point. Relax your jaw. Students, do your best to make them laugh.
You ruined I was so calm.
We need to record that laugh. I think we can make money. It's contagious.
Okay.
I know. Like,
Wow. Let's try again. Let's try again. Teachers, find your focal points. Relax. Take a deep breath.
No, we switch it back when we start.
no.
Relax your jaw, because that was a complete failure. Same roles. Don't switch yet. Because that was a complete failure. We gotta do it again.
Sorry.
Well, only one failed.
It's all your fault, Michelle.
You tell me when you're ready.
All right.
I am ready.
Find your focal points. Relax. Begin.
I deal with first graders. You're gonna have to go mobile.
Try again. You start? Yes. Try again.
Hit me with this one. I knew that would work.
Sorry.
You have kids who do that.
But I'm really mad though. I can't make a straight face.
I'm only doing what my kids are doing.
It's the adults.
My first
3, 2, 1.
trying to get me to laugh.
All right, switch again.
I can't.
So, the short-haired people are the teachers, is that correct? Okay,
We're trying to make them laugh again?
this time, you may talk.
Oh no.
Short-haired people are the teachers, long-haired, you're the student. This time, you may talk, and you're trying to make them laugh. Find your focal point, take a relaxing breath, check your jaw, begin.
So-and-so took my word and I didn't even get a chance to write it on the board. Please, 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 can I write it on the board? Please, 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 please. He's got a really good one. Mr. Ratley, I need to go back to the so badly. Please, 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 please. I don't know if I don't want to give you. I don't know if I don't want to give you. I just got okay. I know. I'm like trying to act like your children.
Three, two, one. All right. They say revenge is best served as a dish cold. Time to switch. Switch. Long-haired people are the teachers. Find your focal point. Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Begin.
Mr. Bell, you just snorted.
I know the joke's coming. Okay, but it is.
It's okay, I just snorted too. But is it okay to snort? Can we snort? Is it okay? No, it's not okay. How about if we fart? Can we fart? He just did it. It smelled. Oh my God.
I know, I'm the worst.
Oh, man, it died over there.
Nobody in my class is like,
3, 2, 1. Somehow, the silent game is harder than the talking game. All right, now this time I want you to stand up.
I tried. Really tried.
All right, so we're going to keep the same position. So long-haired people, the teachers. Short-haired people are the students. This time, you're still trying to make them laugh, but you can dance.
yes.
You can move around. You can do whatever you think you can do to make your partner smile or laugh. Teachers, you ready? Teachers.
The short hairs of students?
It's the same rules as before. It's just a minute ago. What did I say? Yeah. Short hair students. Okay, we go.
Short hair with students now?
Yes. Find your focal point. Take a deep breath. Relax your jaw. Begin. You can talk and you can move.
My mama taught me how to do the hula. I like, oh, mama, hoochie, hoochie, mama. No? What do you think? Oh. I learned it from my own kids. That's how it goes. So I go hula hula. If I do the mama, my mama gets mad at me. She slaps me because it's not nice. So I don't do that one in front of my mama.
Right?
I'm not making you laugh. How come I'm not making you laugh?
3, 2, 1. Good reminder. Teachers, are you allowed to speak? No. What kind of look do you have? I'm totally bored with what you're doing, and this has no effect on me at all. And I'm not engaging with you. All right? Let's switch roles.
Okay, I'm all warmed up.
Remember, you can move. Find your focal point. Takes a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. Begin.
Don't ask a question. Can I stand like this? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I gotta.
It's kind of funky in here. It smells like an onion sandwich in here.
What if you really turn out Viking? What if you really turn out Viking?
You step in poo? When you're teaching, you step in poo?
I know my punches are pathetic.
Alright, have a seat.
What if I tell you
Have a seat.
Nice work.
I had that.
Nice work, Mr. Allen.
But I had a kid actually sniff himself first. I was like, oh my god.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now the game's gonna change. You are no longer trying to make your partner laugh. Instead, you'll give them back talk. Anything that you have ever heard is fair game. Tell your partners that they are not being fair, that you weren't doing anything, that they're picking on you. Tell them that their class is boring. Get personal. This is showtime. Teachers, we're going to add a new skill this time around. Whatever your partner says, let it go in one ear and out the other. Back talk is not what you would call a significant communication. Rather, think of it as baloney. It's just blah, blah, blah. If you listen to what the student is saying, it may upset you. Instead, zone out. Again, I caution you, do not use this with your spouse. Instead, zone out and think to yourself, this is boring, boring, boring. Even if it is, pay attention to your wife or husband. All right. We're going to let you do this from sitting, and then we'll try it again from standing. And this time, I want the person whose birthday is closest to March 1st to be the teacher. March 1st are the teachers. Okay. Remember, you're going to find a focal point, take a relaxing breath, check the jaw, let it go in one ear and out the other. They are completely boring you. Ready? Go.
This is really not fair. Okay, I didn't say anything until they said something. And then you got on my case, you didn't even get on them. How is that fair? You gave me that case, how is that fair? You're always picking on me. You're like, that's your favorite person. You just let them get away with anything. And I'm always like, that's just not right, okay? You hate me. Because I'm different, and that's why you're in this situation. You don't like it. You didn't like me from the first day of school. So, why should I listen to you?
I don't care if I don't
You just
listen.
don't care.
It's your fault.
Right now, you're blowing me off, you don't care, you really don't mean. So, I'm always in trouble. This is why I get mad, because you feel like you just don't ignore me.
3, 2, 1. All right, I gotta ask a question. If a kid is back talking you and you start laughing, in most cases it'll probably just shut it down because they were mad, right? And if you laugh, you actually could think of you as mocking them, right? And if you think about it, if they're making bad back talk like you just heard, they're mad and you're probably on the way to getting mad, okay? So think about that as we switch roles. Okay, so those of you whose birthdays are far away from March 1st, you're the teacher. And I want you to find your focal point. Take a relaxing breath.
Yeah.
Check your jaw.
Pick a spot.
Students, this is called sweet revenge. Let them have it. Go.
Mr. Riley, I hate going outside for PE. You are the most pro PE teacher in the whole world. Why do you make us do all this all the time? I hate myself, I'm the worst in the whole world. Johnny's being my team, you don't even care.
Go down.
Why do you always ring that dumb little xylophone? Why don't you just say be quiet? I'm tired of hearing that noise. You don't anymore?
You've been staying here forever?
Mr. Riley, your class is so boring. This is the most boring class in the whole entire world. I never want to come to school ever again.
Hey, parents.
Right?
3, 2, 1. All right. feel a little slightly better equipped to handle back talk now? We're gonna practice. We're gonna practice moving in and moving out. I told you we're gonna practice it. And I promise not to put this. Well, I actually didn't probably be on YouTube, so I won't post it. I won't publicly state that it's on YouTube. You know it is. All right. In order to be skillful in dealing with goofing off, in order to be skillful in dealing with goofing off in the classroom, we must be skillful at reading pseudo-compliance. Pseudo-compliance is well known to any parent. That half-baked minimal compliance known as giving half a loaf. For example, you ask your son to make his bed, and he pulls up the covers and then looks at you as though to ask, "Is this enough?" My dad told me that I had to pick the Bermuda grass out of the flower garden that was full of lava rock and thorn bushes and roses. And I gave him half a loaf. And my old man came home and he said, "It's not good enough." And I was wise in my 14 years and said, "Not my problem." And he chased me across the yard with his fists up, said, "Anytime you're ready to take me on, boy." "No, Daddy, no." 10 years ago, we were driving to San Francisco to go see a basketball game. I said, "Dad, you remember that time you chased me across the yard?" "Yeah." "And you said, anytime I'm ready?" "Yeah." "I'm ready." Pseudo-compliance is one of childhood's basic tools for getting out of work. And it's one of childhood's basic tools for expressing willfulness of saying, "I don't have to," when a parent tells a child to stop fooling around. As soon as the parent's back is turned, the child goes right back to doing what they're not supposed to do. What do we do as parents when our kids do that? What did your parents do?
Nay.
If I have to stop this car, right? Did they ever stop the
Make me
car?
pull this car over.
My dad never stopped the car. He had a big turquoise ring on his right hand. He just reached out and
Crap!
hit you on the head with it.
Yeah.
You gonna be quiet now, boy? Yes, Dad.
I would be willing to bet that all it would really take is stopping once and saying, "You may walk." And there wouldn't be any more nagging. Because why? We're being, what was that word we were looking for earlier? Consistent. If your threats are empty, will your students figure that out too? You're going to see a lot of pseudo-compliance in the classroom, especially when setting limits. Students will seem to comply when you ask them to get back to work, but when you look up 2 minutes later, they're talking again. You must learn to read pseudo-compliance when setting limits and classroom disruptions so that you can follow through until you get real compliance. Body language reveals intentions. It telegraphs what a person plans to do next. You can read the student's next move just as they read yours, but you must first know where to look. How do you spot pseudo-compliance? In this session, we're going to practice a discipline management situation in which you have to walk over to the student's desk in order to get compliance, i.e. time on task versus talking to neighbors. We will refer to the entire sequence as moving in and moving out. The practice of moving in and moving out will make us savvy in reading students' pseudo-compliance. We will look at moving in and moving out as if it were a body language poker game. The game is played in a series of moves. With each move you make, the student must make a decision, either fold, get back to work, or raise, pseudo-compliance. If you cannot spot pseudo-compliance, you will fold, move out. When you should be raising, move in. Let's slow down moving in and moving out in order to follow the moves. Okay? All right. When a student is sitting, so would you turn this way? All right, so if I'm asking her to work, what is her body language saying?
She's not working.
Why do you know that?
Because she's not turned in front of her desk.
Okay, in fact, if she was turned towards her friend instead, what would that say?
She's talking.
And as soon as I walk away, what's going to happen again?
She's gonna go back to talking.
All right, so what do I need to do?
Make sure her feet are up underneath her desk.
So I'm over here. I see that she's messing around. What do I do?
say excuse me from the kid,
Excuse me, Robert.
and then look.
Take a deep breath. Slowly rise. Do I move quickly? So there's a difference between this, taking a deep breath, check my jaw, and moving slowly, right? Well, now I got your full attention. Okay. But she's still not moving. What do I do now? Now I move in. Do I move in quickly or slowly? Slowly. Now what's happening? Is she complying yet?
No.
So now what do I do?
But then you got 20 meatheads that are like, oh, it's gonna get it done. Ooh, busted, sister.
That's 26 meatheads.
Okay. Have I said anything yet? Do I walk away right away?
No.
Because why?
Because she may or may not keep working.
She might be in pseudo compliance.
When she starts working, I say thank you. Walk away. But now I have a problem over here.
Meatheads.
And
What is she doing? What is she doing? According to this, what is she doing? She just pushed in her own pile, didn't she? She upped the ante to see if I'm in a cave. What do I need to do?
Raise it.
I need to let her pay the price, not me, right? How uncomfortable are you right now?
ooh, I'm good.
Most people get uncomfortable when you invade their space like that. So now, do I want to talk? Non-verbal cue. Does she know why I'm here?
Oh yeah.
Even if she's saying all these other things, she knows why I'm here, right? What do I expect? What's it going to take for me to move away?
Done.
What did I just get? Pseudo-compliance, right? Why do I need to stay camped out?
Because she's not back to work yet.
She's not back to work yet.
She took my pencil! Racist. Could I get my pencil? I can't work if I don't have my pencil. I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta go to the bathroom. What about a drink? Gosh, you never let me do anything. What? God. Can I go to the bathroom now? I really gotta go to the bathroom now. That's okay, I gotta stay in at recess anyway.
Right? Keep gabbing out. The idea is that she's the one that's upping the game.
That's my life.
All right.
It's all before like 15 in the morning.
What I want you to do is pick one person at your table to be the teacher.
Not me.
You're good at it.
And this time, it's important that you don't talk so that you can hear the cues. Okay?
No.
It's important that you don't talk so you can hear the cues. All right, so you have a teacher from each group?
Our table's even cold.
All right. Teacher?
You wanna be the teacher?
All right, remember, you need to be quiet so you can hear, are you back to, you gonna join a table or are you gonna somebody teach you?
Stand up as a teacher? Or?
Yeah, I want you to come over here, pretend to be helping somebody else. All right. At the table, I want you to pretend to talk, but don't actually talk because you need to hear the cues. Okay? All right. So you're talking. I want you to turn in such a way that shows that you're not engaged. So turn your chairs. Teachers. You're helping Robert. You see a commotion at one of the tables. Say, excuse me, Robert.
Excuse me, Robert.
Take a relaxing breath. Check your jaw. And slowly stand up and turn towards the problem. I haven't said walk yet.
I already said the news.
All you're doing is looking at it. Okay? Alright. Remember, you're not really talking so you can hear the cues. Teachers, pick the student that is the biggest troublemaker and walk over to the edge of his or her desk. Stand there as you take 2 relaxing breaths.
Here it comes.
Oh, he's here. Oh, he's here.
Remember, you're not really talking.
Sorry.
Students, turn halfway forward and return to work. Give the teacher half a loaf. Teachers, put one palm on the student's desk and use the other hand to motion to the student to turn all the way forward. Students, come halfway around again.
I think the text evidence says that office referrals are year
Teachers,
after year.
give the students a verbal prompt to turn forward.
Yeah.
Students, come all the way around and get to work.
Okay.
Teachers, put both palms on the student's desk and watch them work. Stay until you get a stable pattern of work. Students, eyes up, eyes down. Teachers, after you have a stable pattern of work, thank the student and go to the person that's still out of line.
My back hurts if I sit like this.
Stay down after saying thank you to make sure that they're not giving you half a loaf.
I'm working.
Give them equal time. Students, continue working. Okay, now students, you're complying. Teachers, stand slowly and take 2 relaxing breaths. You are moving out now, but you will move out by degrees rather than all at once. Teachers, turn and walk away, but before you engage another student, turn to face the student you just left and point your toes. Never make a partial turn. If your disruptive students look up, they will see someone quite willing to return.
Thank you, lady.
Teachers, as you begin to help the next student, button hook so that the disruptive students are in your direct line of vision. Consequently, there is no clear end to the interaction.
Just trying to do my work.
Next NBA story.
Is this right? Is this
Alright,
right?
teachers,
I think I got
pick
it.
somebody in the group to be the next teacher.
Good, right?
Winner, chicken dinner.
If somebody leaves me alone, I can get my work done. Nobody ever leaves me alone. He's always looking at my answers. Stop looking at my answers.
Alright, last time, here we go.
I think you should be the teacher.
Here we go, I need my teachers up here.
You're gonna be the teacher. No, you're gonna be the teacher. I think you're too good at being a bad student.
You have a lot of training. Alright. Remember that you are pretending to talk but not really talking so that we can hear the cues. You're pretending to talk. Students sit next to each other in pairs as if you were 2 students engaged in talking to neighbors. look at each other as though you were talking, but do not actually talk. When the teacher says your name, look at them up and give them a smiling face. Okay, teachers. Pretend that you are helping little Robert, and we'll begin with the turn. Here we go. You're helping little Robert, and you catch someone fooling around out of the corner of your eye. Teachers, you're standing at the edge of the student's desk. You take 2 relaxing breaths. Go ahead and move. Move to your students. Students, turn halfway forward and return to work. You will give the teacher half a loaf. Teachers, put one palm on the student's desk and use the other hand to motion to the student to turn all the way forward. Students, come halfway around again. Teachers, give the students a verbal prompt to turn forward. Bring your chair all the way around.
You need to bring your chair. You need to bring your legs all the way.
Students, give the teacher whiny back talk.
Working, what's the problem?
Teachers, move down slowly to camping out in front. Students, keep giving back talk.
I'm so hungry.
Sorry, my ears. Can you just tell me?
Teachers, stay down and relax. Let the back talk go in one ear, not the other. Students, let the back talk die down. Let the back talk die down. Teachers, stay down and take 2 relaxing breaths. Stop. What does this communicate?
Oh, I'm angry.
It does. You should be here. Good job, good catch. Okay.
Nice.
Teachers, stay down and relax. Let the back talk go in one ear, not the other. Students, let the back talk die down. Let the back talk die down. Teachers, stay down and take 2 relaxing breaths. Students, return to work. Teachers, watch them work until you have a stable pattern. Students, keep working. Teachers, thank the student. Touching is optional and stay down.
Thank you, girl.
Teachers, switch to the next student and give the second student equal time.
You could at least get it.
We're their favorite.
When I was so much kids, I'm like, I could at least give you
It's so hard to
better contenders. They're like, well,
You're a girl and I'm a guy, that's why you pick it.
Alright. And sit down. Okay, we don't have time for this, but it says this. It says, teachers, I'm going to give you a curveball now. When you thank the student, you will get a snotty reply, usually a one-liner like, yeah, right, or you didn't help me any, or just leave me alone, or whatever. The student is obviously trying to have the last word and get your goat. We will call this snotty reply the last hurrah. Rather than reacting to it in some special way, let it go in one ear and out the other. If the student's folded with back talk once, they will fold again. Just hang in there and watch the student work. Stay a little longer than you normally would. You are teaching the students that such remarks are useless in your class. Our immediate objective is to stay in the cortex rather than the downshifting into the brainstem. If you feel that some additional consequence is necessary, do it later. For now, relax and wait until you get a stable pattern of work. Then, thank the student and stay down for 2 more relaxing breaths. Finally, we'll move out as we did before. All right. You understand how to handle that last hurrah? The cheap shot. You might say, big deal, or, ooh, I'm scared. If you are trying to figure out what to do as classmates giggle, you will probably overreact. We need a plan. This is why we want to be proactive instead of reactive. Naturally, you cannot allow the student to have a mocking last word. On the other hand, it would be nice to keep your response cheap. Rather than doing anything dramatic, simply relax, turn slowly, come back to the student's desk, and hang out for a while. Then to thank the students as before and move out again. We will call this routine instant replay. Rather than being a technique, this is simply reteaching. You must teach the students that cheap shots are not cheap. Had the student who gave the cheap shot kept his or her mouth shut, you would be gone. Instead, students will get a double dose of you from close range. You can run the price of poker up by simply hanging out longer. Okay? The last thought is that you can tell them something that they're not expecting. What is something that they're not expecting? So the student says, I hate you, right? What is something we could say in return that is not expected?
I really like that shirt.
I say this.
What a nice shirt you're wearing today.
Right? You think about something that you could say that they're not expecting, and it takes them off their game because they don't know what to do. But here's the key. I know you guys are tired and want to go home, but here's the key. You must have a plan. You got to think about this ahead of time, so that it's not a reaction. Okay? Not something you can do